right, so we're gonna start a episode 2. What we'll do here is we'll launch into our game, and we'll show you guys kind of where we left off last time and what I've done since, just as sort of preparation for this episode. Essentially, at the end of last episode, we ended off with our first piece of automation. So we automated the production line for the concrete, and we also automated the iron through to iron plates part of the supply chain. Since then, what I've done is I've gone ahead and added a storage device at the end of the line, so that while we're here, we're collecting plates. And off of the second node of iron, I've gone and got it creating bars as well as the screws. So I've just got containers here that are grabbing sort of some of the leftover stuff. I haven't done any of this to scale or taken into account, like, 30 items here, 60 items there, or anything like that. The whole purpose of just setting up each of these supply lines, which you'll see this one here, we added a splitter up here to split off some of the ore. We've got it going into 2 different smelters to create the bars, the ingots, and then we're producing the wire on this side and cables on this side. So this is sort of all the basic building block components that you need in order to finish off all of that research that was lined up in the hub for us. So in the hub, we had some more advanced logistics that was going to give us some faster belts. We also had in there, what else do we have? Parts assembly here, which gives us the assembler, which is allows us to take 2 components, like plates and bars, and then combine them into something else. Also, the ability to create copper sheets, rotors, modular frames, and smart plating. Smart plating is sort of the first ingredient that you need for your Space Needle, your space elevator, when you go to launch that. It also gave us the chainsaw, the solid biofuel, and some extra inventory slots, which inventory slots are always helpful. You're always running out of space on your person. Gave us some jump pads and some jelly landing pads, which we'll talk about a little bit later. These are just sort of ways to jump up the floors in your base until you've got some stairs and things that you've purchased through some of the other pieces that we'll kind of show you here, which is this awesome shop and awesome sink. So the awesome sink uses a huge amount of electricity, but it generates tickets. And tickets are used in the awesome shop to buy extra, there's some extra types of walls and things where you can run conveyors through your walls. There's some extra ways to mount things. There's other foundations and things in that awesome shop. So it's just kind of a way to extend some of the basic recipes that you're already using. And then we got the advanced logistics, which gives us a stackable conveyor pole so that we can have a base level of conveyor belt and then another one stacked on top of it. So we can take up a lot less space to run our conveyors, as well as a conveyor lift, which allows us to go vertically with our conveyor belts. In addition to that, we also got the Tier 1 logistics, which gave us our splitters and mergers and conveyor lifts, and gave us a little extra, allows us to see the efficiency of each building. That's interesting. I'm not sure I understand what that particular one means. I'll have to look at one of the buildings and see if we can see the efficiency level. And then lastly is the research for the MAM. So the MAM is what gives us our last bit of research slots. So there's the hub, the MAM, and the space elevator that allow us to do research for advanced skills and things like that. Gave us some extra inventory slots and a hand slot as well as it gave us beacons so that we can mark some different parts on the map. gave us an object scanner so that we can find certain materials and things that we're looking for that are beyond the basic ores, and gave us a personal storage box so that we have more ways to store the stuff that we build. So I've already launched all of those off because essentially the parts and stuff to build all of those are being built in the small amount of factory that I've created here today. So what we're going to do today is we're going to head on down to this basin down here, this flat plain, and we're going to start building out this area here as a place to receive iron ore, because we have 3 deposits of iron ore here. One here, one there, and one there. And we're going to take in all of this iron ore, as well as eventually we'll fold all of those pieces that are up top that are using iron into a factory that just builds everything to do with iron. Eventually we'll have coming in here at the ground floor, we'll have trains coming in to bring in iron ore, and it'll all feed this one building that'll just be responsible essentially for everything to do with iron ore and all of the subcomponents that iron ore could make. Once we have the iron production set up, we will probably also set up a similar base. We'll have to figure out the exact placement of that, and I'll show you some of the tools that are available for that, for copper as well as for limestone. We'll make ourselves a big concrete factory essentially. Now, what I'm doing here is just clearing some of this brush, and I'll show you how the chainsaw works as well, so that you can clear larger amounts of things a lot quicker. The chainsaw, when you flip to it, you need to have solid biofuel in your chest of drawers, and the way you build that is you can either build it at the craft bench, or you can build it at the the craft bench, or you can build it in one of the assemblers. But once you have some solid biofuel, which is just the mash that we were making before from wood and leaves, only it bundles it now into rods, you can use that to power this chainsaw. And this chainsaw gets built at the workbench, which I'll show you when we get back to the base. But you use that and you can chop down some of the vegetation that's kicking around here. And when you chop down one of the trees with it, one of the bushes here, let's see if we can, there we go. It'll also take any of the foliage around it. So you can see that that sucked up a huge amount of this brush and stuff as well that was right close by to the tree. So you can use this to go and clear a lot of the area here for where we're essentially going to start putting foundations for our base. I don't seem to be able to chop that one out of the rocks. All right, so we'll head on over here, and I think where we want to start making this is kind of right where these trees and stuff are here. We want a nice wide berth here because we're going to have trains obviously coming in here. And so what we'll do is we'll go and we'll take a look at our foundations. So we've got the big beastie boy here, which sits up quite high. We have his little brother, which is a half-height version of this guy. And then we've got the small one, which is a half-height version of the base platform. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to start with the big boy. And kind of just going to use this as a starter for the placement. Just so I can get it up high. And we have a nice high floor to start. And we'll kind of run this along here. all the way over here, and we can try and see if we can jump up. Nope. So, and because we're going to pull in these 3 ore deposits here, we'll build some ramps to help us get up there. And because this is going to be a popular foundation that we're going to use a lot, I'm going to hit the number 5 when I'm touching that. And what that does is that binds it to those hotkeys across the bottom, kind of down there. And you can see that now when I press number 5, it's going to automatically allow me to build that. So when I'm sitting here, I can hit the number 5, and automatically I'm placing one of those large foundation blocks. So we're going to kind of set up our factory floor here. And the whole point of this floor is literally just going to be to receive all the iron ore. So from here, we're going to actually create a little bit of a... What's the best way to describe it? We're going to create a little bit of an elevator system here that we can feed from this side if we've got a train that's come in, or we can feed it from the back side, and it'll have elevators that'll take that product up to the next floor in our startup base here. So we'll plunk a few more of these platforms here. And what we might do is actually extend this over a little ways here as well, because we'll also have some of this material that's going to come down from up top. And I don't know what a reasonable size is here to make it, but somewhere around here, we're going to run into troubles with this rock that's here. Because if you get too close to that yellow smoke, I don't know if am I too close or am I safe here? Looks like I might be just outside the safe line, which that would be awesome if I had, because it means that I won't have to move any of this. And one more, that should be enough to bring us back, line up here with this. Yep, and I've run out of concrete, so we'll go and we'll see if we've got enough left in here to top up now. Oh yeah, we got a good batch of it going here now. You can see why it's good to get that concrete up and running as a very early resource. That's kind of the first one you want to automate, because you're going to use a whole lot of it for building up your base. right, so that's a starting point for our base. Now what we can do here is we've got the ability to add walls and stuff. I'm going to kind of make this a little bit of an overhang for the upper floor. And what I mean by that is I'm going to kind of leave a bit of a hallway around the outside and one square on this side for where I'm going to build our elevator, our wall of elevators. Kind of put it that way. So we're gonna build this elevator wall here, and we will have to swap some of these wall segments out for ones that actually allow the elevator segments to be put in there. But this is just to kind of give us a layout for where we're going to put things. And we will add wall as well along here. And we're not actually, this is going to remain quite an open. Won't this change for me? Normally, if I use my mouse wheel, it'll flip. Oh, there we go. To the other side so that we've got them all facing the same direction here. So we're not going to fill this with anything until we actually probably get to a state where we've got the trains. So for now, we're just going to close it in. We might put a doorway here at some point. Or we'll just clear out a chunk of wall temporarily to kind of allow us to get in and out on the ground floor. And we'll also need to put in a section for where we're going to have our stairs or our jump pad elevators to sit. Now, the one thing that I know just from watching other YouTube videos and such is that you need a lot of height on this first floor, because the trains, when they come in here, the train stations themselves are massive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this might seem like massive overkill because you are literally you just learned how to automate your first thing. But the one thing that I've learned in this game is that you're better to build a lot bigger than you think you're going to need than to have to try and rebuild entire sections of your base at a later date. So I'm going to recommend that you do the first floor, somewhere between 8 and 10 sections high. After that, I think a reasonable amount is sort of 4 or 5. It allows you to keep the smoke and stuff from the smelter graphics from showing up through the floor of the next level, that kind of thing. But for this first floor, it's important that it's gigantic. So I'm not going to spend too much more time here on this other than to just show you when I get to the corner here how I go and put the next floor on. Oh, and we've run out of concrete already. So this might be a pause point for us on this part of the build. Because if we come out here, we have not stored up very much yet. Let's put a ramp here too, so that we can use this as a bit of a doorway here until we've got a proper entrance built. So what I can do is I can show you, I'll take a good chunk of these sections down so that we can rebuild them right in the corner. That'll be the easiest way to kind of show you things. But what I can also show you here is when you're on this dismantle, you can see how you've got an option down the bottom there. It says mass dismantle. If you hold down the control key while you're looking at these things, you can actually look up and select a whole whack of things, and if you let go of control, you can move around again freely. But now here's the key. I want to right mouse button this, but that is totally the wrong thing to do. You want to left mouse button it at this point, and it's going to take down that whole section of wall. So we'll rebuild that here real quick, just right in the corner. I get the feeling that that's actually 10. Looks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, it is 10. Okay. So once we get to there, we're going to add a foundation that is this thin guy. And he's just going to go right up to the top there. And that is now the start of our first floor, which is essentially where we'll put all of our smelters. Now, there's a decision you can make here as a starter player, which is, do I want to smelt everything at this factory? Or would I prefer to do that right on site, right as it's coming out of the drill, just put it right into ingots off the bat? And if you do that, then you're just transporting ingots here, and you're going to have your first level production, basically, of all of that sheet material and or 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, the sheets and the bars and that kind of stuff. And the honest answer that I have is, it doesn't save you any space to transport ingots versus the actual raw materials. So I would say bring all the ingots here. To me, it's like, then I've got control if I need to extend my line, or if I've got faster drills that are coming into play. I can just add more capacity here in one spot instead of having to run around the map to everywhere that I'm mining iron ore and have to do the upgrades sort of locally at each of those spots. So that's going to be my suggestion here, is that we continue to sort of build out this piece and get that first floor set up. That first floor will be for smelting. So I'll show you how to build this elevator tower here probably in the next episode, and how to get stuff up there and start smelting. But this shows you now how you get a bit of a grid going, and this grid can actually extend right over top of the nodes that you're doing, so that you can align your miners. It allows you then to place your conveyor belts and do nice tight 90s within the confines of the grid that you've built to route your materials around the base very efficiently. So it's a really good starting point for the build. And what you can do is you can actually run, when you get up high enough with the walls here, you'll be able to run a floor all the way out here, and then you can sort of set up a little bit of a production facility here for something else, and it'll be completely grid aligned with your other building right beside it. So again, it makes stuff going back and forth between the two buildings super easy. You just have to build up so that your floors are at the same height, and then run yourself a little bridge between the two buildings, and you can move materials between the two buildings quick and efficiently as well. So we're not going to build absolutely everything on site at this location. We're going to try and use this just for our iron. We will probably set up our electrical plant here, just because this will be one of the places that we'll always be coming back to. It's kind of going to be a bit of a starter. It's going to be a bit of a base here until we build our bigger base, I guess. This starter base will be what we use to build all the components that we're going to use to be able to build a larger base for doing the mass factories that you see on some of the other Satisfactory channels. So we'll also set up here to do a lot more electrical at this location. So what I want to do is, I think this is a good place to sort of pause. I'm going to show you guys while it's building up a little bit more of the materials for the concrete, because we need to build the concrete up high enough here that we can kind of extend over to this area, where we can then build our recycling / electrical plant. And I'll tell you what I mean by that when we start building that. But this is the start. So we'll put a pause on it right here, and I'm going to introduce you to the tool that I use for planning. So when I'm trying to figure out, I've got my iron ore, I figured out this is a good spot for iron to start. There's lots of iron deposits around here. Some of them are pure and impure and normal. So I'll explain what that means here, actually. Let's do that before I go into the resource. You noticed, or you may have noticed or may not have noticed, that the original iron deposits that we picked up top there were called impure. And impure just tells you what, or how rich or how abundant the resource is. So here, this one is normal. So it literally will produce, you can put the exact same miner on this node as the other node, and it will produce exactly double what the first node did. So the first node was pulling out 30 ore per minute. This will pull out 60 ore per minute. And then a pure node, I believe, doubles that even. So it ends up at 120 ore per minute that you end up drilling out from one of those deposits. So because this area has a lot of iron deposits near it, and I just happen to know that, that's why I kind of set up shop here. But let's introduce you to the tool that will help you with some of that planning, so that you can kind of get the layout of where everything is in relation to your starting area. So I'm just going to Alt-Tab out here, and I'm going to grab the interactive map, and then I'll switch to it for you guys so that you can see what I'm talking about here. But the episode, or the website is www.satisfactory. You can Google it, Satisfactory interactive map, and it'll come up at satisfactory-calculator.com. And when you go there to the Satisfactory calculator, you will see, hopefully this will show up for you guys. No, not right off the bat. There's a couple of sections to this website: production planner, interactive map, and game resources. If we click on interactive map, now you guys can see it. This is the interactive map. This kind of shows you the area that the game developers have exposed to everyone to play on. And there's the opportunity here to click or drop your save game information here. You can see that it gives you a path to where your save games are: %, local app data %, / factory game / save / saved games. If I go to that location, % local app data % / factory game / saved/saved games. Because I'm on Steam, I have 2 folders in here where my saved games exist. If you are playing the full-fledged game that you downloaded right from, is it Epic or one of the other manufacturers, you will have your saved games right in that saved games folder. For Steam people, there's now a common folder just underneath that, or sorry, not a common folder, but a numbered folder. And inside that numbered folder, which essentially relates to your Steam profile, that's where you'll find your save games. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip back to the game real quick. And out here at the game, I am going to save my game, starter session, and I'm going to make sure that where are we? That I overwrite sort of the newest one. Overwrite this saved game. Yes, confirm. You can see it names it with sort of today's date, and it puts them in chronological order. So that new save game is up at the very top. It's 15, 10, 200, 306. And if I switch over to the interactive map now, I can find that new save game, and I can drag and drop it right here onto the space for the calculator, and it's going to go and look up all the stuff that I've built. I can see my framework for where I've located my base. I can see that my hub is right here, that I'm standing kind of off to the side here. One of those big whale dudes that I call Steve is walking around over here. I've got my copper production here. You can see that this is a drill that's mining copper ore at 60 per minute. Here's my 2 iron ores at 30 per minute, and my concrete or my limestone at 30 per minute. And on this map, if I zoom out just a little bit, it kind of has a fog of war of all the places that I've seen. So I've seen this area over here because this is where my drop pod landed. Then we walked over here to start building our base. And you can see that there's some hard drives here. I'll explain that in a later episode, but what we want to do is we want to come over to the side here, and we want to turn off we'll leave our buildings and stuff just so we know where our building is, and we'll leave our power grid. But on the map layers, what we want to do is we want to start to look and see where all of the normal nodes and pure nodes of all of the base resources are. And we can turn on as many of these resources as possible if we want to. So you can see here we've got uranium, we've got quartz, we've got bauxite, we've got sulfur and oil and coal and caterium, which we'll talk about in a later episode as well. And then here's your base ones, so copper, iron, and limestone. And you can see that as you turn these on, it starts to flag out where all these things are. So I'm going to turn off all the more advanced materials just because we're not there yet. I don't want to have the map too cluttered up right off the bat. But we'll leave these base ones here. And what you can see is there's a lot of iron nodes here. Those are those 3 that we just looked at. We've got a normal copper node somewhere over here. Can't quite see it yet because we haven't cleared all the fog of war over here. There's another copper node here. There's a pure limestone node. Some normal limestone over there. Some more iron over here. Some more copper. So, like, iron here is just, we've got so much of it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9 normal nodes of copper. And if we add in all of the impure nodes, we also get the 2 here that we've already tapped. I think there's another batch of them over here, 4 of them that are impure nodes over here. So this is just a really iron-rich starting area. And if I zoom out even more, you can kind of see where it is in relation to the map. So we're right down in sort of the south, what would that be? Never eat shredded wheat, southwest corner of the map. There's a little bit further to the west that we can go here. And then the map just kind of goes up to the north. So we're kind of down in the southwest corner of the map, and it's all iron there. Lots of iron. So this is the perfect place to do it. Now, we can turn off all the iron, we can turn off all the rock, and we can just look at copper. And we can kind of look over the whole map and see where's the majority of our copper nodes. Copper seems to be a much more rare resource. And actually, I'm going to turn off these hard drives because they're kind of getting in our way as well from seeing what's going on here in the map. But copper actually is not too bad kind of in this area, but we might want to set up our base maybe more over in this area where we've got a few more normal nodes kind of over there, and then we can just pipe these other ones over and into there. And there's a pure node that's not too far as well, which is kind of cool. And some more pure nodes that are not too far. So this kind of looks like maybe this kind of an area might be good for copper, or maybe somewhere up here. Because here we've got a lot of normal and pure nodes as well. But this is you can see why this tool is great for planning. You can kind of turn off different layers and stuff and see where the resources are, see where they are in relation to your base, and you can use that for all of your planning and start to figure out where you're going to lay out your base. So we're hitting the end of our sort of half an hour mark here with this episode. So I'm just going to head back over to our game, and between this episode and the next, I'm going to continue to build up my walls, and I'm going to basically set up a awesome sink, because the awesome sink here will be able to sort of throw a bunch of materials that are excess. Whatever we're producing in excess, we should throw into a sink, and we can start to generate some tickets, which will give us access to some of the different walls and such that we're going to need in order to build this. And as well, I'm going to try and extend out, once I've got the floor up high enough, over into that area in the back to start setting up a bit of a power plant. So I'm not going to do anything with setting up my smelters on the first floor or setting up any constructors just yet. I'm going to try and extend our floor out into this area here where we can build sort of our starter electrical plant and recycling facility, and that's where we'll kind of start our next episode. So if you're following along with me, continue to build out your base in whatever sort of size that you see fit. We sort of just chose this based on the confines of where the rocks were there and where these rocks were here and the cliff here. But this will be the start of our base as well, and we'll be able to extend it out for those trains, and we'll start talking about the elevator lifts and stuff tomorrow as well. So episode 3, I think we're going to build out our power plant so that we've got stuff to actually do once we get our elevators in. And we might try and get our elevators in, but we'll have to see how that works for the half-hour timing bit. And we'll play it from there. So appreciate any comments or feedback that you've got. You can always find me at twitch.tv/Lapora_games. Or you can hit my Facebook page, which is just at Lapora Games. And I've also got a page there where I publish these YouTube episodes. And until I get enough subscribers going, I won't be able to have comments and stuff on YouTube, but eventually I'd like to get there. So please do like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos. It gives me the opportunity to make a few more of them for you and to keep this this thing rolling. Thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in today. Second episode of our beginner series. I know we didn't cover a whole huge heck of a lot today, but I hope you got a little bit out of it with kind of what the foundations do for us, kind of give us a way of grid aligning everything and setting up the base foundation for where we're going to start making this factory and see what we can grow it into. See you guys next time. Take care.